Before we get started, I want to get some plugs out of the way. If you want to see my good friend Leonard Feingold with the Spasmatics and you're in Northern California area, you can see them at Red Hawk Casino in Placerville on Friday, January 29th. You can also check out the Facebook page for this podcast, facebook.com/TSFnS. This song fucking sucks. TSFnS. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes. You can also check out my record, This Is Not Here, on iTunes or wherever downloads are stolen. And you can check out all other information about me at jeffkalmbach.com. That's JEFFKALMBACH.com. And don't forget to check out today's guest, Rob Brown, at axisguitars.com. That's AXISguitars.com. Well, I just heard the news today. It seems my life is going to change. We just listened to Arms Wide Open by Creed. This song fucking sucks. Welcome to This Song Fucking Sucks. I'm Jeff Kalmbach, and with me today is my good friend, the very talented guitar repair person and music connoisseur, Rob Brown. How's it going, Rob?
Hello. Doing good.
Good. Glad to have you here. But part of why I brought Rob is because I know he has some really great taste and some very strong opinions about music, and that's really the key to our show here, where we take a song that we find highly questionable, objectionable, and offensive, and we deconstruct how and why just ruins our existence. So today we're going for the low-hanging fruit. It's just it had to happen eventually, right? So let's just get it out of the way. We're gonna hang out with Scott Stapp and Mark Tremonti and the boys at Creed.
I couldn't pass this one up.
Yeah, and we're gonna talk about the great With Arms Wide Open. And oh god, I mean, just now when we went to listen to it, we put it on and like the little jangly guitar intros on. And I'm like, I don't know. This is actually not much I can say about that. And then he starts singing. I just say, you fucking asshole.
And 2 times we listened to it.
Yeah.
Including the one time I listened to it this morning, going through the list of songs you sent me. That was 3 more times than I ever needed to hear this song again.
Yeah, I know. You'll never forgive me for that. Oh, man. I mean, there's a lot of things to say about it. And I think really it's going to come down to is, and as it really always does, is like vocal stuff, lyrical stuff, the tip of the spear to any song, In this one particularly, that's where all the really nasty stuff is just, all the offensive stuff. I was actually surprised because I was kind of expecting it to be this bukkake of production tricks and just being really popped out and overly produced, but it's kind of tame.
It's very one-dimensional, like very dry and
it really
anemic.
is. It really is. It's, I like dry, but in a good way. It really has, like, the verses seem very, very empty. It's like, I assume the idea was like, oh, well, let's make it sound like a band, and there'll be no, like, real big guitar overdubs, and then we'll do it in the chorus.
Yeah, I was listening, and it's been, I can't remember when this song came out, early 2000s, somewhere around there.
I should probably know that.
And, yeah, we should have looked that up. I was really surprised at how big this song was back then.
Yeah.
But how boring it is in retrospect. Like, there's nothing even noteworthy or spectacular about it. And I have to admit, I also watched the video this morning, looked it up on YouTube, because as we were talking about before, I was very careful not to listen to any of this music on Spotify for fear that maybe my preferences were set to show my Spotify followers what I'm listening to, and God forbid anyone knew I was listening to Creed.
Yeah, I know. You'd be ostracized. The pitchforks and like torches running out of town, man.
Like Frankenstein, like being chased after.
Yeah, there goes all your street cred.
Yeah, I would pretty much just have to shut my shop and leave California, possibly even the U.S. But it struck me like there was this thought in my head of, were these guys actually a band, or did somebody put them together to capitalize on the vibe at the time? Because there did not seem to be anything cohesive about that band. Yeah,
there's definitely like there is nothing sticky about it. Nothing like there's kind of no. Yeah, I don't know how to put that into words, but exactly what you said is that it's not cohesive. It's very kind of isolated. Like, you know, they all flew in tracks and stuff.
Yeah, I didn't get the sense remotely from listening to the music that any of them knew or liked each other, or really sat in a room jamming and writing. It was almost like something that was orchestrated.
Yeah. It's weird. I really expected there to be a lot more kind of trickery to it, and I think that it's a perfect opportunity for that, to have like some background lines, some, you know, a little acoustic guitar in the back. And it's like, I kind of appreciate that it's like kind of stripped down, but it's not working. You know, I love the idea of, you know, hey, let's do a track where it's really just the band. There's, you know, the guitar is just, that's it. And like, you know, very spare overdubs, you know, and kind of, but it's like, it just doesn't work. It's weird. It's like this. I get it's supposed to be this huge chorus, but even then, it doesn't quite do it. It doesn't quite reach it. It's bizarre. It's like, you know.
There's just nothing going on. And I was thinking as you were talking about, like, the first thing you like identify with is the music, or sorry, the vocals and then the lyrics.
Yeah.
And as I was listening to the track, I realized that this song has nothing to say musically. And if you listen to the way the track opens, it is almost a ripoff of Pearl Jam 10. Yeah. The sort of atmospheric opening for 10.
Oh,
It's a very much a ripoff of that. And I would almost say that Creed is kind of just a ripoff of Pearl Jam and Stone Temple Pilots.
Sure, definitely.
Except those bands had phenomenal members. They actually had something to say.
Yeah.
And then the song just crashes in and gets heavier, but it's almost like he just has nothing to say musically. He picked some of the most cliche types of guitar tones and guitar lines to craft the sort of pseudo like rock ballad.
Guitar center tone.
Yeah, but he's not actually saying anything. It's just like regurgitating what was going on at the time.
He has a very sterile sound.
Yeah.
You know, which is, you know, I don't know. You don't have to agree with this. But in my humble opinion, that is something that the Paul Reed Smith guitar is kind of, they have for them. They're just, you know, there's some very pretty ones, but they're great from people who love to play without soul.
I am actually going to agree, and you know, as a luthier, it's something I have to tread very carefully on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally.
Because I mean, everybody's music is everybody's individual passion, and like, who am I to say what somebody connects with on an instrument or something like that? But there are guitars that, for me, I feel nothing, and Paul Reed Smith is one of those. They are very well made.
I know.
From all my years of doing this, they're exceptionally made. They're very pretty, but there is actually nothing emotional about those instruments. There's nothing I can connect with on one. I've seen maybe one or two over the years of 15 years of doing what I do where I was actually like, ooh, this is a nice PRS.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I'm just like, this is a nice made guitar.
You know, they're like a really nice piece of furniture.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, I don't want to take it to the gig. And I think a piece of what kind of, in my mind and my heart, killed them is that they became such a Guitar Center staple that was like, okay, This is. I went to Guitar Center and I got the expensive stuff, and now I am a professional musician. It's
and they hand out signature models to artists who are doing nothing creatively,
right,
but selling a bunch of records.
And
I mean,
that's the business.
That's business. I get it, and I also think about a lot of the guitarists that I love, and there seems to be a moment when they started playing PRS guitars versus maybe like Les Pauls or older like Ibanez, some cooler old guitars, and their musicianship seems to also get more bland.
Yeah, interesting.
It seems like they jump more on the mainstream of rock music, and they just don't really have as much to say anymore.
Yeah, that's
kind of coincides with starting to play PRS guitars.
It's like that thing when you're not struggling anymore because you have that just well, I have my Ferrari of guitars and stuff, so I don't need to I don't need to work at it anymore.
Yeah.
So and I definitely I hear that in that intro, the jangle kind of noodly arpeggiated bullshit. It's just, he does that in every song, by the way. That's like, he does every fucking song is just like, okay, I'm gonna start with some like kind of noodly arpeggiated open chord thing, and it's just like yeah
I'm gonna take your word on that.
In my line of work,
I'm not gonna go back and listen to the whole record.
No, please don't, please. But I've had to instruct others in the ways of this horrible abortion that is Creed on occasion. Fortunately, the kids are not like they've disappeared. I don't, which is awesome. I mean, Nickelback and Linkin Park still kind of floating around with the 12-year-olds.
Oh God.
But fortunately, kids have missed the boat on Creed.
It's a good thing.
That's a great thing.
The whole jangly arpeggio thing. It's a way to kind of bring in that hook and say like, hey, like I rock, but look, I have feelings too.
That's a shirt right there. I rock, but I have feelings too.
Or at least a feeling.
Yeah.
Hey, check out my feeling.
Let me show it to you. Coming back to the, they're trying to be Pearl Jam and Stone Temple Pilots, and they are that bastard child of that Stone Temple Pilots, Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains, Hootie and the Blowfish kind of era. But this is always the thing is when you've got this first wave where these are guys who are coming from, this is what I'm into, and we just play what we play, and and that becomes this huge thing. Then there's always that just pathetic, desperate afterbirth that's just horrible. It just takes this thing that everyone loves, and just manages to completely miss the boat. They do nothing original with it, but it's contrived. It's, derivative. And the other one that I really think of that's kind of like Godsmack is just another one where it's just like, and I mean they are particularly bad because they stole everything they do from Alice in Chains. Their name is an Alice in Chains song. Their logo is an Alice in Chains thing. It's like,
I have to admit I skipped them. So I can't even really comment.
That's fucking tough, buddy. So, I'm gonna just like.
But for you, because I like you so much, I'll go back. I'll listen to a Godsmack tune after we get out of here.
It's funny. I will be doing a Godsmack episode. Definitely. They will not get away from this. But if you want to hear them, you just go to the Hard Rock Cafe. I don't know, have some fucking deal where like every other song has to be a Godsmack song. I don't know what that is.
From the one or two times I've been to a Hard Rock Cafe, that kind of fits.
Yeah, it does.
It's just like how to take rock and roll and just rip the soul out of it and capitalize on it.
Ruin it. And then sell you overpriced nachos.
Exactly.
But it's like kind of how one of the greatest bands of that whole period, Tool, I don't know where you fall on them, but to me, they were such a huge, huge band at that time and did this thing that was just so unique and so their own. But at the same time, they birthed bands like Stained and stuff. And it's just like, man, you guys missed it.
Oh,
That is not it.
No, Tool, for me, I don't listen to them as much these days, but they had a huge influence on me musically.
Good.
As having some of the most unique things to say musically, vocally. Maynard is one of the best vocalists, like vocal singing quality and lyrically.
Yeah.
Adam, for me, has always been one of the most interesting guitarists.
I know, yeah.
Just his creativity and his style is so understated. I mean, everybody thought the guy was just a dumb guitarist playing detuned riffs. And then as they released later in the later albums, just had their mind blown at all the off time and complicated stuff.
Cool. So cool.
And Danny Carey, one of my favorite drummers.
No one argues with that, And and the thing about worshiping a band like that, to the degree that you want to, kind of emulate them, is that part of what makes them so great is that they are so creative. And so by copying them, you are completely missing the point of their greatness. And like the best thing you could do if you're influenced by them and love them is find a way to do it your way.
Yeah. But I think too, it's like you have to look at the creativity of the individual musician in the band. In a 4-piece, it becomes the singer, the guitarist, the bassist, the drummer, but then also the collective creativity.
Yeah.
Because we've all seen some of our great bands split up, and then they get another singer or somebody comes in, and the album just flops because you realize, going back to Stone Temple Pilots, that they are just a band that there is something unbelievably magical that happens when the four of them get together.
Yeah.
I heard the new track with Chester from Linkin Park.
God,
it did nothing for me.
Oh, and the last episode I recorded, we did Linkin Park, and we started talking about the STP thing.
Yeah.
And just like
the album Talk Show that STP did with a different singer.
That's interesting. I haven't listened to that one. I'm curious about that.
I actually pulled it out recently because I was putting all my CDs on my computer. I just digitized everything, and I know some people are cringing right now, but it's it's convenient.
Oh yeah, no.
I actually gave the album another listen, and while musically it's really good, you hear Robert and Dean DeLeo really shining through, and Eric Kretz, but the collective song and album really just got lost to time.
Well, that was 97? That was 90s.
That early? Was it really?
It was in the
early?
90s, yeah.
Yeah, it probably was around 97.
Yeah.
I think that was the first time they separated with Weiland.
Yeah.
And then you look at Weiland's first record, which
12
is
Bar Blues.
Amazing.
There's some interesting stuff on there.
There's so much like Bowie and
I don't like Mockingbird
Beatles
Girl, but I like the rest of the record.
And then I heard a track off his second album, and it was just, it went downhill.
Yeah, he's a disaster.
But it just goes to show you what some bands have collectively when they all come together into a room. Like, it doesn't matter how talented the individual is.
It doesn't.
It's the relationship they all share together, which, coming back to the Creed song, there just seems to be...
There isn't one.
Yeah, there's no... Again, it seems like it was just... I honestly don't know if they were a band or if somebody put them together to capitalize on the time. And that comes back to the whole argument that seems to be floating around public media or social media right now of musicians wanting to get paid for their craft, and the whole thing of like, well, once you start bringing money into the reason you're doing your craft, your artistry kind of starts to die at that point.
It can,
and jumping really on the bandwagon to capitalize on what bands like the ones you mentioned, Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains, Stone Temple Pilots, Soundgarden, you can throw in there. Yeah, at the time they were kings, and then you get all the bands that are trying to jump on.
Hey, I can make a dollar on this.
Yeah, but they're really not a band. They don't have anything to say.
And more than that, it's those guys who are like, hey, these bands are big. Let's get our own. Just sign anybody. I don't care. Sign that asshole. You know?
Basically.
You got a band? We'll sign you. You
Yeah.
know? Or at least back then.
Yeah.
You know? It's different now, but, you know, back then it's like, hey, you like Pearl Jam? Yeah, do that, and we'll give you money. You know? And it's like the listener, the public kind of can pick up on that, you know. I think to a certain degree, at least.
Well, that's why none of it has any staying power either.
Right.
I mean, I was listening to this morning, and just thinking back to some of the great rock bands that have like cemented their mark in time. Zeppelin and Floyd and AC/DC, Aerosmith, the Stones.
Legacy bands.
You listen to the songs they crafted, and they were actually songs. They actually had high levels of musicianship.
Yeah.
They had something to say.
They had that chemistry and that je ne sais quoi.
And that's why 40, 50 years later, they're still selling just as many records to kids as the new bands are, because the songs are timeless.
Absolutely.
And you listen to so much of the music that has come out in the past 2 decades, and it just has nothing to say that's going to make it relevant for more than 6 months.
Yeah, it's become kind of factory made,
and there's so many bands. Everybody can be a musician nowadays. You go down to
true.
Guitar Center, you
That's
buy
true.
your gear, you go rent a room, you write some songs. You know, it's like in '68 there was Led Zeppelin. That's who was doing Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
Nowadays you've got Pearl Jam, it's rewind back to like 91. Pearl Jam is on the top of the world, and you've got 5,000 bands
Right.
that want to do the Pearl Jam thing in their own hometown, and some of them get lucky enough to get some notoriety, and they break out of that. They make some records, but it sounds shitty to say, but we don't need 100 Pearl Jams.
Yeah, and that's a problem. You know, it's like you gotta kind of, if you don't have your own voice, you know, it's just not gonna work. You know,
because all you're gonna do is you're gonna ride the coattails of whatever's popular at the moment.
Yeah, and here's the thing: is that Pearl Jam, you know, like those songs, that stuff from 10, still good, still sells, people still love it.
Oh yeah.
You know,
I still put that album on regularly.
Yeah, and kids are aware of it. You know, kids who are kind of like picking up on the rock thing, they're like, "Oh yeah, this is cool. I like this." You know, there's still an awareness for that, and Nirvana and Alice in Chains, Soundgarden and stuff. But I think this Creed thing is just kind of, it's over. It's over, brother. And
we might be the last 2 people keeping it alive at this moment.
Yeah,
hopefully,
it's like,
but sadly, I know there's somebody out there still listening to this record.
Yeah, someone in a cave somewhere. They're kind of like beating a dead horse here. It's very rock by numbers. It's very formulaic.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, well, I'll put this here, I'll put this here, here's a chorus, and then let's do a little fucking swell into the chorus, and you know, just I'm surprised, but here's the thing, for the big commercial rock, like that chorus is, you know, king, and it's got to be this bigger than life thing, and I thought it would be, even in all its badness. I thought it was going to be bigger than it was, you know,
but it's just not. The song's just not there. I mean, you listen to all the criticism from people nowadays, like take Aerosmith for example. Like they've definitely changed over the years, and you listen to the songs now, and they've gotten a little formulaic. They have the big crashing,
right,
you know, guitar choruses with the vocal harmonies that really, if you strip them down, they're the same as the pop stuff because songwriters are involved. But when you actually start deconstructing the song, you realize that Joe Perry and Brad Whitford are actually playing some of the baddest shit you've ever heard.
Yeah. They're great.
Yeah. And like you really start looking at the song and you realize while the sound and the complexity have changed since the 70s, it's still a damn good song.
Yeah. You know, there's a, you know, it's not this, you know, I'm not here to tear down the idea of the pop song either.
No, not at all.
You know, and the commercial hit. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No, everything has its place.
And there's, I'm not going to name names, but there are plenty of poppy teeny bopper songs that I'm like, this song's fucking awesome. And I'm gonna fucking rock it and have a dance party by myself in my underwear.
I have been known to throw on some Justin Timberlake because that dude can sing.
JT he's on another level. He's like, yeah. No, that's like, I don't think anybody should feel embarrassed about that.
Not at all.
At all. Like, yeah, he's a fucking machine,
Totally. The word pop in music has garnered such a negative connotation, but if you really think about it, all it means is popular.
Yeah.
And what it means is that you wrote a good enough song that it's popular.
Yeah.
So
for the most part, I think
it's,
there are every once in a while one gets past the goalie.
Totally.
I think
it's adopted a new meaning, like it's taken on much more of a bubblegum aesthetic than popular in today's world. But at the same time, I mean, I don't know, if everybody listened to the music that I listen to and I like, it'd be a boring world because there'd be no individuality.
Yeah, oh, totally. If everyone was into it, it'd be like, well, that's not cool anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
This asshole likes it. I don't like it. What is this bullshit? I tell you what, one of the things that drives me nuts about this guy, I'm going to get into Scott Stapp, who's apparently he's not doing well financially or something recently. I don't know, but whatever. You brought it on yourself, buddy. His enunciation is just deplorable. Every thong, that just taking words and just taking a giant shit on them.
It's the overemphasis of the drawl.
Yeah, and I guess it goes back, there was that 90s thing where it was like the thing. Right, and yeah, I get it. It was a little silly, and
everybody did it. It was the I'm shy and I don't really want to look at the audience, and I mumble a little bit.
Yeah. Angsty, but it's like he was coming along at a time where it's like, okay, we did that. We know that's like bell bottom flat, patch pants. Now let's kind of. Okay, let's move on. We all had a mullet, Jerry curl. It's okay. Let's pretend it didn't happen. But this record is like 99, 2000 or something, and it's like, okay, that was over like 7 years ago, and stop. Find your own voice, and there's this certain thing too when you have that derivative thing. It's like they'll take that signature thing that was so popular, and then they're like, instead of doing my own thing, I'll take this thing, but I'll do it more, right? It's like, oh, Yngwie's fast at guitar, I'll play more fast. It's like, yeah, but that's not better. Like, it's how he did it, and, that he did it. No. I'll just do it faster. It's like, what? He did his thing, and you're never going to be as good. Or so just do something else and be the one who does that.
It's trying to put your stamp on somebody else's thing instead of doing your thing.
I know. And it's like, it's just not going to work. It's like, well, they have big hair, but I'm going to have bigger hair. And it's like, that's pointless. It's exactly that. You're taking someone else's identity.
Yeah.
And trying to be more. It always happens. I saw Lynch Mob once, George Lynch's band. He had this singer who was more LA than LA, but in that it was like he took that Rob Zombie aesthetic, kind of became a big rocker thing there, and he took it and he just multiplied it like 10 times. So he had the cowboy hat. I think he might have had two. One on top of the other. And he had the dreadlocks, but instead of the dreadlocks being down to the middle of his back, they're down to like his ankles. So it's like, see, it's more. And instead of tattoos up his arms, his tattoos were like, he had it, like instead of a sleeve, he had a suit, they're coming up his ears. It's like, because I got more tattoos, right? And then he was rocking the overalls, and it was just like,
Yeah, there was a time when all that stuff was cool. I will actually admit, I have no shame in admitting, like, the cowboy hat was kind of cool. There were guys doing the skull and crossbones, like, belt buckle thing on the front of the cowboy hat. Sure. I mean, fucking Ian Astbury did it well with the Cult way back.
Yeah.
You know, it became like
White Zombie and
White
Rob
Zombie.
when they were a thing, when they were Thunderkiss 69 and More Human Than Human. It was like, okay, that's cool, and it's like,
but everything becomes a parody of itself. Even Rob Zombie's become a parody of itself. It's not cool anymore.
Yeah.
And it's like, it sounds funny, like making fun of like famous people, because it's just like, it's most of the time we all do this. It's just because we're jealous, but it's like, they've just become parodies of themselves where they're just caricatures. They're not really cool anymore. Like their music's not cool anymore.
Thing with, and I still consider myself a big White Zombie fan. They're huge to me when I was in high school. I loved that band. That was my first concert.
Dude, their songs are great.
And those two main records were awesome. And I even like the old shit that was all crappy. You know, I got the box set. It's awesome. I think Jay was such a huge part of that band, and I think Sean was such a huge part of that band. And so when he went solo, it's just like, again, the chemistry is gone. And I feel like they kind of kept him from going in this direction that I didn't like. And they kind of were doing a lot of stuff that I did like. And he just became more Rob than Rob.
Yeah.
And it was just horrible.
Yeah.
I didn't like any of the solo stuff.
No, I don't think even that first album, there might have been a good track or two off that got popular.
Dracula's okay.
It was okay, but again,
right.
like the music just became a parody of itself. Like it got 100% formulaic.
Yeah.
There was nothing new or original or interesting in it.
More nasally, more electronic, less guitar. And he's had, John 5 is the man. I'm not gonna shit on him.
No, that
obviously.
dude's a phenomenal player with a huge repertoire.
Yeah, he's great. So
some of his shit on Manson, that album Hollywood, is one of my favorite albums musically.
Yeah, he started with Katie Lang.
Really?
Yeah, his name was John Lowry.
Yeah,
he was an Ibanez endorser.
Yeah. It's funny looking back at all the guitar magazines.
Yeah,
he was a country guy,
and I think he may have been involved in like Fight. Do you remember Fight?
Yeah, rings a bell.
Halford's band.
Oh yeah.
I think something like that.
Yeah,
one of those bands where, or maybe it was Bruce Dickinson's solo band, something like that. One of those bands where it was like, classic, metal guys, kind of weird '90s solo thing. But anyway, I mean, he's great, but there's that track Educated Horses, and it's like, do you want to ride them? Educated Horses. And it's like, no.
Is this a zombie tune we're talking about?
Yeah, this is Rob Zombie's like last, I don't know if it's his last record. That's when I finally went, you know what? I gotta go, dude. I'm sorry. And I give him every opportunity, and the movies too, like, the thing with him is I love his aesthetic. I love how he's got this vision, and
he created an image. Yeah,
and it was so perfect for that band and for the music, and it was everything. It was this whole package, and it's like I love the videos, and then but when it came to like movies, kind of like his music, he the story thing is not his strength. So his movies are always at least a half an hour longer than they're supposed to be. It's like, okay, that was it. That was, all right, I'll see you later. Oh, there's more.
Kind of derivative, not much to really say.
Of course. He's kind of got this, like, funneling these classic things together.
It's the B-grade horror movie is what he's going after. Sure. So, I mean, yeah.
And I think that works. It's such a cool thing in music because you're taking, one thing and moving it into this other art form. But when he starts making movies, it's like, okay, now I'm making movies that are based on movies. And like, well, yeah, that's kind of, once again, a little kind of derivative. If you make music that's based on movies, at least you're kind of moving it and repurposing, Yeah. Recycling instead of just,
There's a lot of recycling these days in the creative community. It's like, I think to a certain extent, like within the mass culture, we've hit a wall of what people have to say musically, artistically. And given that there's such a large community making movies, making art, making music, a lot of people are just going to be derivative.
Yeah, I mean, it's inescapable. You know, it's like there's only so many notes and all that stuff. Like,
totally.
there's going to be copying and derivative and things, even by accident, you know, which it really is not. I don't think that's a crucifiable offense. Like, oh, I wrote this song and then realized, oh, shit,
No, it always
sounds
happens
almost
by
exactly
accident.
like this song. You know, well, sometimes it happens with like, oh, I can make money if I just make another.
Well, exactly.
There's that, and I think, you know, as far as like movies and stuff, there's they're not willing to take a risk on making a film that's going to be like something completely new and unheard of. They'd rather make a movie out of a board game because it's a name that people, you know, it's a
that's
money thing.
That's the big business that's backing the funding to make the album or to make the movie.
Yeah.
They want to know that whatever they do is going to sell and make them a lot of money.
They're looking for a guarantee, and that's the problem, is the cross section of art and commerce. It's a hard thing. It's like we want to be artistic, but we want to survive, and you know, it's such difficult balance, and sometimes, you know, when the balance goes too much that other way, you get arms wide open.
Yeah.
You know?
There was a shift in everything when the art made the industry. And then it was probably around the late 80s when the industry started making art. Because they'd had, let's just say, 2 solid decades of selling millions and millions of records and, you know, millions of people going to concerts around the world, and the industry had gotten so big that they realized they could start determining the art.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's true in so many other things. It's just such a, you know, and I feel like that's what we have in food, and
oh, totally.
And just there's just everything, this, you know, the corporate world is kind of just trying to.
Somebody figures out what sells, and that's what they sell everybody.
Oh, man, it's just like Excel has ruined the world or something.
Yeah, and, you know, that's why we have bands like Creed shoved down our throat, like, on a playlist once an hour.
Fortunately, they're not doing that anymore. Here's the thing, you know, I'm, like, looking at these lyrics, too. Oh, God, come on, you know? The overall arc is... I'm assuming we're going for, okay, we've made a child, and this is our love child, and he will be brought to the world, and I hope that he's perfect, and some shit like that, you know. I just heard the news today. It seems my life is going to change. Okay, that makes sense. Like, you know, it's, you know, I just heard I knocked some bitch up, and some lady up, excuse me. And
we can edit that out.
Yeah, I might do that. I close my eyes, begin to pray, which is annoying. But
yeah, I always thought it was funny too how Creed came out and then they came out as a Christian band.
Yeah, that's always been kind of a like.
It's like they had to keep it secret. Like, hey, we're like the youngster Pearl Jam rockers, and oh yeah, I'm really into Jesus.
Yeah,
but I'm going to keep that kind of on the down low so we get more fans.
Yeah, it's a weird thing where it's like, you know, they have kind of the message, but they don't overtly have the message, so that they can write. I think that's probably it, is that they're writing the line, because Christian music is just fucking minting money. It is minting fucking money. So they know, like, oh, we can get a ton of money. But the problem is, if you are like committal to Christian music, you just don't get that other side, you know?
Yeah.
It's just completely cut off. So it's like, well, what if we do a band that's like just kind of ambiguously like Christian hope stuff? So like, you know, we can market it toward that Christian thing, and there's like, you know, kind of like pray, you know, Jesus, yay, kind of stuff. But we don't say Jesus. We just say, you know,
we'll just have Scott Stapp sitting in the crucifixion pose in the video.
Yeah, we
basically just emulating Jesus.
Yeah, we just give it a little wink. Like, you know,
it's like, hey, We're not Christian, but check it out on Jesus.
Yeah. You know who I'm talking about, right? You know.
Big J.
You know. And then we can have, but we can also be like people who are just kind of not really in that world, kind of be like, oh yeah, they're pretty cool band. I think if they said the word Jesus, it would just be like people would just turn and walk out. But,
oh yeah, it's like a dogmatic line of division.
Yeah, and you just lose. I mean, like, maybe some like Jewish rocket kid would be like, yeah, I like Creed, they're cool. They're positive. That's all right. Tears of joy streamed down my face. Okay, so one of my issues is with the rhyme thing. I just kind of get really annoyed with that when it's just not working right. And I feel like this is just so lazy.
Well, it's like Poetry 101.
Is it that far? Is it that mature? I don't know.
Maybe it's not even as mature as Poetry 101.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like how he's rhyming change with face. It's like, that's like your last-ditch effort. I mean, obviously today and pray rhyme, but you usually want that to be kind of a resolution point, to be like second and fourth, and not be the first and third line,
Yeah.
And it's just, that's kind of gross, but it gets worse.
Stay with us.
Yeah, the chorus has nothing as far as a rhyme, which is, unless he's trying to write light with thing. I don't think he is, though.
I think he's rhyming open with open.
Yeah, that's not a rhyme. I don't want to get too technical, but that is an identity, which is not a rhyme for a songwriter.
It rhymes so much.
That too much. It's like kissing your sister.
Oh.
And Opan. It always makes me think of Aubon Pan. I don't know.
See, when you say it like that, it makes me think of Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh, yeah.
Lopan.
That's right. I just watched that like 2 nights ago. I was like, you know what I haven't seen in like forever? Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah.
Awesome. Now,
you know what old Jack Burton would say about With Arms Wide Open?
You know what? And this is interesting. That movie was a big eye-opener for me because it was at that point, just 2 nights ago, that I realized that Kurt Russell and Patrick Swayze, not the same guy.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was pretty certain that I was like, this guy was pretty good in Dirty Dancing.
See, now you got to go back and watch Roadhouse.
Roadhouse.
Classic Swayze.
That's right, classic Swayze. He's a, what do they call him? An Iceman, a freezer, a cooler. He's a cooler.
Cooler.
That's right, a cooler. You can keep my beer in him. I don't like, we get the second verse is the worst. It's just a fucking abortion.
See, now that rhymed.
Yeah. I'm not proud of that either.
Scott Stapp could actually take a lesson.
I know. I'm available. I'll do Skype lessons. I usually do $50 an hour, but for you, it's at least $100. Well, I don't know if I'm ready. Okay, to be the Mong. He says, man, Mong. It's like he's got like cotton in his like cheeks or something. He just drank a whole bunch of milk.
But it's like Eddie Vedder meets South Park.
Yeah, they're always kind of doing. That's right. To be the man, I have to be
so emotionally complex and deep.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
Like, he's looking deep inside his soul, realizing that he has created another life, and is he actually the man he has to be?
Yeah. I'll take a breath. I'll take her by my side. We stand in awe. We created life. So, at the B, I guess he's rhyming life inside. It is not great, but not impossible. I think he was trying to do be in life, though.
I don't know if this song is really about rhyming. It might not be a rhyming thing.
Yeah, I guess not. I guess to be fair, one thing I've noticed about Cheap Trick is they will do songs like, if you listen to Surrender, like none of it rhymes, and it's all awesome. It's great, and I love it. And it's like, so they like make this proof that like, yeah, fuck it, who cares? But it's like, what bothers me is when they think they are and they're not, and they like just butcher the words to try to force them into a rhyme. And then this kind of thing. I'll take a breath. I'll take her by my side. When you say that, and it's all in one word, it sounds like he's giving his breath, he's anthropomorphizing breath, and that is who he's taking by his side. I'm going to take my breath, and I'm going to take her by my side. And you know what I mean? It's one of those things where it's like the meaning gets just jacked because of the way you're like, the order of the words and the kind of putting them together. It's like, you really don't have a strong grip on the English language, do you? You know, it's like, I gotta like write something here. I can't just sing the whole time. I think it would have more meaning that way. You know, and here's the thing: he keeps going. I'll show you everything. That's like one of the big things for this. I'll show you everything. Every what? You know, he doesn't specify anything. It's like,
maybe we're supposed to infer the depths of his soul.
I guess so, but to me, that is probably more, you know, something wrong with me. It just makes me think he's like a flasher. He's going around just with a trench coat, just like, oh, I'll show you everything. Like, I'm gonna bend over and spread, and like, you're gonna just see my goddamn colon. I'm like, show you everything? I don't. It's just it's like too vague to where it's like you're being vague because you really don't have anything else to.
He's just like, I got nothing.
I got everything. I don't know. I'll show you this. Here's a couch.
I got nothing. That's it. Everything.
Hey, look, there's a leaf. Hey, look, there's a homeless man peeing in the corner. I don't know. It's just a general lack of effort. Just like, I'm not really trying, so...
Again, just, you know, derivative and cliche.
Yes, very much so. It's just a good, solid try for a freshman in high school. And one of the things I like to do with this the show segment, I like to rewrite the lyrics on occasion. So I don't have anything. I'm going to do this a little off the top of the head, but I think, you know, if we do the chorus with arms wide open, I would probably change arms to anus, with anus wide open. Under the sunlight, maybe under the... we could probably keep that the same, because that would be weird. You know, that I like that. Like, you know, the sunlight is beating down on my, like, fucking butthole. But, you know, you could change it maybe under the stage lights. Like he's doing some kind of, you know, show.
Interesting.
You know, under the stage lights.
I see where you're going.
Welcome to this place. That's good. This place. That's another one I take issue with. This place.
It's just
what
very
place?
vague.
Yeah, it's vague because it's like you really don't have a clear picture of what you're saying. There's the vague because you're being artistic, and then there's the vague. It's welcome to, I don't know, this place.
Is it the place of my heart? The place of... We're creating a child. Welcome to the trailer park where we're going to be living.
Welcome to the back seat of my ancient Camaro, where I am going to forget to wear a condom and be too lazy to pull out.
Now, don't be blaspheming the backseat of a Camaro.
Yeah, well...
I'm sure many, many good things have happened in the backseat of a Camaro.
I'm sure many good people have happened in the backseat of a Camaro. I don't know why Camaro came up. I don't know. It's some subconscious thing.
But no, if you're going to be in the backseat of a Camaro, you got to at least have like some Judas Priest or something like that.
Yeah. Well, nope. You got this.
No.
Here's a question. What was playing when Scott Stapp knocked this chick up that resulted in the song? You know, what were they listening to?
The Pearl Jam.
There you go. We got our answer. Of course he was listening to Pearl Jam.
That's some baby making music. That's emotional.
Right. I love this song. She can't find a better man. She can't.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Uh,
Oh, man. And who is this girl? Who is this poor, poor woman?
She has remained in anonymity this whole time.
Yeah, that's stuck with Scott Stapp's.
Probably embarrassed.
No, she should be. Poor kid. Poor kid. He's going to grow up just being like, she's just like born with that.
Hopefully went to Planned Parenthood.
I don't think that goes with their Christian beliefs. But that's pretty much what it's for. You just kind of keep this kind of element from sullying the gene pool. You know?
That would be like... It'd be like the Antichrist if 20 years later we had another second coming of Scott Stapp.
No, that would be just awful. But, I mean, it probably would just be some bad VH1 reality show. It's just like...
Where are they now?
Yeah. Where are the children of the really questionable celebrities, and what drugs are they using? We send celebrities' children to rehab. Now, so you watch the video. He's oiled up, right? He's shirtless and oiled up, and
no. This video, I don't know who did this video, but they should be stoned or whipped, or maybe they were stoned or something. Yeah. But like, it is some of the worst set design, clothing, costume choices I've ever seen. Like, they looked like really bad 20-something coke dealers.
Okay.
Like baggy jeans,
of course,
bad leather coats. The drummer was wearing a leather coat. What fucking drummer in his right mind wears a leather coat?
Yeah, that was some designer, some person costuming.
Scott Stapp's wearing this tan leather like waist length coat with I think some fringe on it maybe.
Oh, no.
And within like the song opens up and within the first verse or something, he looks directly at the camera and gives you that gaze.
Does he wink?
No, but it made me feel a little uncomfortable that he was looking at me.
Stop watching me masturbate. Stop it. Like, don't fucking mug the camera, you asshole.
No, you're not Ferris Bueller.
How dare you? How dare you? I'm going to send Matthew Broderick to your house and have him hit you with his car. So you didn't get to see his waxed nipples or anything?
No. Well, I have to admit I didn't watch the whole video.
Yeah, that's probably
there's only so much of this stuff I can actually stomach.
I know, and I made you listen to the whole thing twice.
You did.
I know.
You did. Listening's actually not quite as bad as watching the video. It's like it's getting it at like different angles.
Again, it's kind of this bukkake because it's coming at you from everywhere, and you just can't escape it.
It's like Clockwork Orange when he's got his eyes like open and they're forcing him to watch the videos and the music, and it's
with
like
eyes wide open. You know, we could recut this song to scenes from Clockwork Orange.
Just people being tortured, being made to watch horrific brainwashing videos with eyes wide open.
That's right, with those things. God, that's what nightmares are made of. Those things that go in your eyes.
Mindfuck stuff.
Oh, that's fucking horrible.
Made to watch Creed videos over and over and over till your mind just turns to ooze.
Ugh. God damn it. Okay, so why don't we move on to this section of the podcast I call This Song Fucking Jams, a pleasant alternative. And this is where we come in with a song and we're like, hey, you know what? You've heard some garbage and we've talked about garbage. Why don't we give you something to cleanse your palate that we've been jamming on, just something that's really been pumping us. So, Rob, what's been your jams lately?
Jane's Addiction, 3 Days.
3 Days, was that, which record was that off of?
That's off of Ritual de lo Habitual.
Oh, yeah.
Which basically marked the second half of that album is, for so many people, myself and so many people included, is something just spiritually awakening.
Yeah.
Something about that second side of that album is just unbelievable.
What a unique band, you know? Just so different from everybody else.
Well,
and so great. Like, they rocked, but they weren't a hair band.
They were an amalgamation of everything, and at the same time, something completely unique and never seen before.
Very artistic, very LA, but in this way, it's like sleazy, but awesome.
I honestly really credit Perry Farrell with creating an entirely new musical genre
Yeah.
creating an entire scene in LA.
Oh, totally. Absolutely.
With what he did. I mean, that kind of music had never been done before. They took some of the best aspects of metal, hard rock, psychedelic
kind of funk
influence,
a
little bit.
Yeah, and kind of an Andy Warhol of that, like, L.A. rocker heroin thing.
Totally. It was mixed up in art culture, drug culture, like consciousness expanding culture.
And I mean, like, he created Lollapalooza. I mean, shit, that was just like the tip of the spear for 90s music, for 90s rock music. That was it. And he, like, that was his fucking brainchild. So there's no, like, questioning his amazeballsness,
No, totally.
And, I love Dave Navarro. I love his playing. His
playing was phenomenal back then.
Yeah, it was great. That fucking Strat with the tortoiseshell, it's so cool.
Oh, yeah. I mean, just the way, musically everything they did together. And this goes back to, again, one of the most perfect examples of four people coming together to form a band. Like Perry Farrell being one of the most unique singers who just exploded into banshee-like exorcisms on stage.
Yeah, totally.
Used delay on his vocals, which he controlled up on stage, which hadn't really been done that much in music. Yeah. Stephen Perkins, one of my all-time favorite drummers.
Great.
Eric Avery, one of my all-time favorite bass players and influences.
Yeah, that guy.
And then Dave Navarro, one of my all-time favorite guitarists.
Yeah.
I mean,
such a great player, just great rock player.
Yeah.
Just makes it sound right. He's just like a perfect rock star. It's just like, yep, I'm a rock star. That's what I do. That's his profession.
They had the dreads. They were like somewhat androgynous.
Yeah.
The clothing choices was all, I was about to say it was very like thought through and choreographed, but I think it's the opposite of that. That's just who they were, and that's the way they lived.
Yeah, I think, Perry has a lot of business sense and foresight, where he goes, okay, this is kind of how we're going to do it. But at the same time, it's from a place of truthfulness and really being, he's not doing it in this way that's manufactured. He's doing it in this way is like, this is who we are, and this is,
It's all very real. Like, when you look at his stage designs he's done, like, once the band actually had enough backing and money to really do stage designs, and they're just, ever since really Ritual on, just beautiful examples of, like, what a band could actually be by combining music and art and having some bigger expression of the combined two things.
That's so cool. It's so cool. And he just knows what how to be a rock star.
Totally.
How to, okay, we're going to use this to be bigger.
Yeah.
And just great.
It's the example of, like, really embodying and living the music versus, unfortunately, what seems to plague so much of music and in the LA scene, bands that I saw when I lived down there, that just, they figured out what was popular, they went out and bought the clothes, and they looked the part, and they tried to sound the part, but there was no integrity coming off the stage or out of the album. They were just going through the motions, like the paint by numbers thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's he made his own way. They made their own way. They said, this is the band that we are, and didn't try to conform, but also said, this is going to be the thing. We're going to make this work, because it just was, there was the magic behind it,
Yeah.
So my tune that I've been kind of jamming on lately, I usually go with, what do I wake up with in my head? And lately I've been going with this Ingrid Michaelson song. Hey, you know this girl, Ingrid Michaelson?
No.
She's really good. She's kind of a pop girl singer, songwriter, maybe a little pop folky, definitely very pop. She's got the song "You and I" that I think is really cool. It's very cute, little cutesy, but I really like it. I think there's a lot of cool, great lyrics. She's got an awesome voice, and it's a good example of the ukulele used for the powers of good. You know, I kind of have, like, this whole ukulele trend kind of bugs me a little bit, because I think a lot of it is just like, oh, well, it's easier than guitar. And it's like, fuck you.
I'll throw mandolin up in there with that.
Yeah, I guess so. You know, it's like, you know, if you're using it for its sound and its texture and stuff, I'm down with that. If you're using it because you're a lazy dick, fuck you. You know?
Hey, look, I can move 2 fingers and play a bunch of chords.
Yeah, that kind of thing. It's like, you know what? Guitar's not that fucking hard. Stop being an asshole. You know?
Plenty of bands have built their career off 3 or 4 chords.
Yeah, they're easy. It's fine. You know? Take your money out of my pocket. But and the other thing, in line with that, I don't like, as much at least, I don't like when you got a uke song where it's just like regular easy chords. Like, you okay on time? Oh, yeah, we'll be done in a minute. I don't like when, you know, it's just kind of your standard regular stuff. I like uke in that more Tin Pan Alley kind of vaudeville kind of sound. That's cool to me. When you've got some of those dominant 7 chords move around, and you know, that's fun. I like that. I like that, like, old-timey, you know, 20s,
almost like
Dixieland.
a little gypsy-esque thing thrown in there.
Just, yeah, you know, I think that's a lot more fun. I like the hokiness of it. I love that. I love fucking hokey music. So she's got a little bit of, you know, she'll do some of those changes and stuff in there where it's like, okay, this is legit. This is good. And it works with the tune. And let's see, the chorus is just great. You know, it's about, you know, hey, I like you, and let's, you know, dreaming together, like, let's make a bunch of money, and then we'll move to the mountains, and we'll buy everyone nice sweaters and teach them how to dance. That's some of the lines, and it's just like, oh, let's make a lot of money and buy our parents homes in the south of France. It's like, oh, that's so cool.
Almost a little hokey, but pulled off in the correct
hokey
way. But
yeah,
like,
totally, yeah, exactly. And I
like,
love that.
Pulling it off right. You're doing it right. There's integrity behind it, so I'm buying what you're selling.
Yeah. I love that it is kind of cutesy, but it's not like, doesn't make me want to barf. And it's like there's definitely an intelligence to the lyrics. It's winking, and it's kind of, you know, joking, but it's silly, and it's cute, and it's playful, and it's fun, and it's like, I think one of the things when I do have, like, problems with lyrics and things like, you know, what we talk about here for the podcast is when they really kind of commit and say, like, no, we're very serious, with arms wide open, you know, very serious about that.
I'm standing here, arms wide open, with my heart exposed to you.
Yes, but I'm not intelligent enough to put any metaphor into this whatsoever, you know?
I'm going to spell it out for you.
I am going to spoon feed you this message because you are too dumb to understand it, and I'm too dumb to make it any less literal, you know? So, I like that she's got this kind of cool sense of humor about the tune.
Yeah,
I think awesome.
It just comes down to, like, having integrity as a musician. Like, whatever you're doing or saying, when you're fully living and embodying it, it comes off with integrity and believable. When you're not, like, you might fool kind of the sheeple masses, but, like, actual people who think, they're going to see that you're not really standing behind what you're doing.
It's it's the difference between there's a difference between popular and good.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally.
And it's that thing. That sometimes, you know, one gets past the goalie, right? And then something that's garbage will be popular. Sometimes it's ironic. Sometimes it's just like, not really paying attention. It's fine. And it's just like, oh, okay, yeah, I like this about it. But, for that longevity and for that feeling of satisfaction, when it's really actually good, that's great. That's like, it's just kind of warm fuzzies, man.
Yeah, not everyone can write the timeless song. It's, everybody has something different to express in this world, but...
Yeah. And it's just like, I appreciate the right to express it.
Yeah, exactly.
But let's never listen to Arms Wide Open ever again.
Yeah,
okay?
I'd say it's been a decade, and I kind of, going through my head, was like, this song and band is kind of like herpes.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of like...
It's gross. Crusty.
Yeah,
Easy.
And it goes away for a long time, and you kind of forget you have it, but then one day it pops up again, and you kind of have that burning, painful feeling, and you're like, oh yeah, I forgot about this. Like,
you
that
have to
sucks.
have a weird discussion with people.
Yeah, you kind of got to come up. It's like, yeah, so I got this thing I got to talk to you about. Like, I like Creed.
And
then
no one says no one ever.
It goes into remission again.
Oh man!
So let's have this go into remission for at least another solid decade.
Yeah, let's put this away. So, what stuff would you want to plug? Of course, if you're in Northern California, Bay Area, people who have guitars and basses and instruments can.
Well, I would certainly be a little remiss if I didn't plug my own business, Axis Guitars.
Yeah.
I run my own very busy, quite successful repair shop out of West Oakland. You can find me at axisguitars.com. I'm on Yelp and Twitter. I'm on Facebook at /Church of the Six Strings.
Oh, that's good. What's the Twitter handle?
It's just Axis Guitars.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. Easy enough.
Yeah, Insta too, right? Instagram,
under my own account, Robert F. Brown, with little what are those underslashes between there.
Yeah, I love looking at your projects.
Thank you.
There is just this feeling to see those shiny frets. It just feels so good. It's just
I never get sick of doing fretwork and transforming guitars.
So good. My Instagram is JAMBAC, Jamback. Twitter at Jeff Kalmbach, jeffkalmbach.com, facebook.com/Jeff Kalmbach's music. And of course, you can find my EP, This Is Not Here, on your iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, wherever downloads are stolen. Like and review this show on iTunes, please, for the love of God, so that, I don't know, something happens that's important. Thank you for listening to This Song Fucking Sucks. I'm Jeff Kalmbach, and for Rob Brown and Creed, don't let the man get you down.